Ethos of Silence.
A veteran podcast aims to amplify the voices of veterans, creating a safe space for authentic conversations about their experiences, challenges, and triumphs. We seek to break the stigma surrounding mental health and foster community support, resilience, and understanding. Through storytelling, expert insights, and candid discussions, we strive to inspire healing, promote awareness, and empower veterans on their journeys.
Welcome. Ethos of Silence, and we're back. Yeah, nah, he needs to give that little, you only test your strongest warriors bullshit a break, dog. I've been well enough tested. I don't need to know how strong I am anymore. Yeah, I'm good.
You want the rest of it to be the peace part, huh? The old man peace. Yeah, you want that to come along? I don't know if we can do that in this day and age.
So I was not reading. That's a lie. I wasn't reading. I was watching TikTok. I read occasionally. But I was on TikTok.
Okay, cool.
And they were talking about there's this alarming status of older men moving to like the Philippines and remarrying women in the Philippines because they have more respect and greater care and stuff like that, and they're more domesticated and so on and so forth.
100%. I've heard that before. You know what I think that stems from, Chuck? And realistically, is that, and it's side-by-side comparison to people in America. We're so spoiled, and we are so doggone take for granted everything we have in this country. Everything we have. So we're just waiting for that next big high. You take someone outside this country that doesn't have that, you give them a necessity, it's like gold. And they want it for a lifetime. They're going to hold on to that. They're going to treat a man good. They're going to make sure all of his needs are met. They're going to do it on a level that, the majority of American women cannot do.
I blame social media.
I hear you, and I agree with you, but the problem, I don't even know. I don't even know where to start, I
don't blame them, bro.
Well, you're always here for us, brother. What's going on?
Yeah,
shit, as the world falls apart, you just don't know where to put it back together. It's rough. It's rough trying to maintain the status of yourself and then maintain the status of, but you've got to draw a line in the sand, and it's it. And sometimes it's tough to follow through with where that line was, but you can't. It's a point of no return, and once it's crossed, man. There's levels of disrespect that you just don't allow people to do, and then after you have to make sure that you're aware of what happened, and then there's levels of disrespect that you allow teenagers to do, but then you're able to coach them back into a level of understanding of where that was extremely disrespectful, and they're like, yeah, I know that was disrespectful, that's why I did it. Okay, well, check it out. I'm about to show you what happens when you disrespect the black belt. Let's go ahead and take this shit outside,
Oh my gosh. Hey, you know what? I think
but there's a difference, right? So if my son did that, I can discipline and teach in a way. Now, if my daughter does that, how do I handle that situation?
Hey, don't even ask me.
Come on, dog. You got 2 daughters.
Luckily, okay, let me explain to why I'm fortunate. Okay, my oldest grew up with me being in the Marine Corps, so in the back of her mind, right, there's still like that switch. Like Dad still has that switch, so she doesn't really cross any lines. She's just a great kid overall.
Yeah.
But my 8-year-old doesn't know about Marine Corps Dad. Right? So she doesn't. So she tests the waters a lot, but she's still young enough right now that if I just pick her up and hold her upside down, she'll stop.
Yeah.
No, I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah. So I think you need to still be able to snap. Despite what popular opinion is, and what do we say, emotional manipulation number 4? You still need to strike a tone of reality, especially into the daughters, which are female for that matter, that only a man can do. Whether you're snap stern with it and this is what it is, and bam, it just you have to begrudgingly do it. I mean, you were talking about the Filipino woman the other day. Look, their fathers are freaking super strict. I think they still can get whipped with a cane. I think they even still have the rule of the thumb up there.
Well, and that comes with the fact of like the acceptability of a husband to do that to a daughter because of the way they're treated, the way they're upright, and how good they think they're being treated because they're not being beat with a cane, which is just mind-boggling to even think of.
Mm-hmm. Well, it just goes back to America too, because there's an absence of authority. That absence of authority that's spiritual. Face it, it's a godly thing. I do base all my life on God's, but when that's absence, then that all that authority falls to a father. And so then it becomes really intense for the fathers to go, now I don't have that godly base, everyday guidance in them. It falls back on me. What do I do? What I got to do? So, I definitely feel that one. But good, bad, or different, it just letting things exist in a way that's not being addressed is creating an even bigger problem, right? So I feel you, bro.
I've had my daughter tell me she hate me once. And that really hurt. But
and they're doing
that. Sometimes you just you still stand firm, even when you don't want to. Because I told my oldest, it's like, I'm the only man you're ever going to meet that wants nothing from you and will give you everything I got. You know what I mean? Like,
Amen.
That's one thing you got to realize. Like, she's slowly figuring it out. She's slowly figuring it out because she's going through school and everything, and she's seeing these boys looking at her. And I tell her all the time, like, he want to carry your books and tell you you're good looking and everything. Yeah, he wants a kiss. Like, that's where it starts. Like, he wants a kiss, but right now it's okay because it's a kiss that he wants. You know what I mean? But in a couple months, the kiss goes to hugs go to hand holding.
Yep. No reason to paint the picture any further. We're good, dog.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, but
that's for sure. Young boys they just go wild. Absolutely. Yeah. I think we were talking about Tim earlier. You got to teach him how to shoot. You got to teach him how to hit. And what was the other thing we said, Tim? I forget.
Man, I wish sometimes I had boys. I'd be a lot less stressed than what I had with boys.
My son is a blessing, and my daughter is too, and they both have their pros and their cons, their strengths and their weaknesses, as far as from being able to raise of the standard and of that thing. Nothing beats the going throw a football or a baseball with your son, and doing the masculine stuff. But nothing really beats the whole feminine thing of taking your daughter out on a date and showing her the way that a male should be treating her. And doing those type of things, and I can go out with my son, but it's more of a let's go grab some wings at Hooters type thing. And then with my daughter, it's more like, let's go somewhere fancy. And where would you like to eat? Do you want to go to a sushi restaurant? Do you want to go to an Italian spot? Let's get dressed up and go and have a nice meal and have an actual conversation about what's going on in your life, to know the way that somebody should be treating you so that you hold yourself to a certain standard, which is, what I try to do.
Yeah, it's amazing the ritual fathers do in order to keep the daughters that they love the most away from evil scumbags. It's a really orchestrated and thought out thing over a long process of time.
Yeah.
That equals those things you're doing, those dinners, those I love you, and what's the saying go? Fathers with sons and daughters spend a lifetime to keeping their daughters from getting screwed and their sons from screwing themselves. That's it.
Hey, I haven't heard that, but I'm gonna steal that one. I haven't heard that.
Yes,
I'm gonna steal that one.
Think about it. That's the truth, right?
I mean, we're talking parenting 101 tonight, basically, with the fact of, wanting to jump into the military and now like balancing the fact of raising your kids and trying to instill the moral code of what you're trying to do. And for veterans on the backside of knowing all the evils that are in the world, I want to download everything I know into your brain at a blink of an eye without you getting terrified. And I know that is physically impossible because all of us have seen things that should not be witnessed via the human eyes.
Yeah. Look, I'll be honest though. I was talking to my mom a couple of days ago, and she was telling me the stuff that we worry about now with the internet and online bullying and all the stuff that's going on in the world, social media. They didn't have that stuff. MySpace was something like as soon as somebody had a phone call, you had to hop off it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I gotta ask my kid every now and then, like, "Hey, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Anybody bullying you, pick on you?"
Yeah.
Like,
what were you exposed to today? Yeah. How was your day? Did you help somebody? Yeah. You really got to start asking questions.
Well, and then giving them
the ones that don't take their privacy.
Yeah, one thing that we do is we have dinner around the table, and it gives them the open opportunity to talk about things so we can kind of address as a family, how would you take care of that situation, or what do you have going on so I can schedule it, or different stuff like that, as far as, putting it on the calendar and all the other different things to be at all these things that are important to you. Because if you don't communicate with each other, we won't be able to do it. But throughout the hectic stuff of a day, between running to flag practice and running a robot and going shopping and just all the things that have to be done on top of, putting in our, I put in 12-hour shifts. Chuck puts in his 10-hour night shifts all week long, and then, and then runs his circles with his girls. It's like you never try and slow down and figure it all out. So creating the opportunity for them to actually clearly communicate and articulate what they have going on and what's important to them is so vital for them to kind of understand that, hey, everything's fast paced, but there's always time to press a pause button and communicate what's going on with you and, where you feel these threats are coming from.
Oh, that makes me pull the scope out on the picture from what you're saying and what Chuck's saying. When Chuck is saying, that his mom said back in the day they didn't have that issue, and then Tim, you're saying, we've got to communicate as a family. It just draws the overall conclusion of what is being powered behind it. What has powered America? What has powered the veteran? What has powered the father, the person? What is behind the power? Number one is God, but below that, obviously, is the family. The family is the nuclear structure that has always been in existence, good, bad, or indifferent, within America. So when Chuck says that, hey, my mom said we didn't have those kids. Well, what did you have there? You had no distraction to be able to go directly to your parents, and whether it be a comfortable or uncomfortable sit down on the couch, if you had an issue, you had it there. And like you're saying, Tim, it's just so fast paced now. You gotta go do this. Kids gotta go run and do that. I gotta finish this out. My son's 11 now, and he's on a computer and he's on a diagnostic this, and I'm doing that, and I didn't have all that stuff as a kid. I had my parents to talk to, thankfully. I had an adult to talk to slow down. I don't see kids looking up at parents now the way I looked at as them when I was a kid or when we were kids. They've got other alternatives to go look at. They've got the almighty Google. They've got the all-inspiring Alexa that knows all the answers. They have teachers that we hope that keep the values of our home to ask a question to. But otherwise, like you said, Chuck, And Tim, you're asking them a question. How was your day? Is okay. Was there anything you could have done different today that you could have changed? I asked my son. What could have did this? Okay. Did you help anybody? Today. Okay. And when I opened that up a year ago, it really, I'm really hoping I'm doing the right thing. Yeah.
I think the biggest thing also now is with Facebook and all that stuff. It's so easy now for people to judge what you're doing. That's something I just can't. I hate a lot. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone feels entitled to their opinion. And you got all these people that want to get in your business. I remember, Mom back in the day used to say, what happens at home stays at home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that it was anything bad. Families go through stuff. There's arguments and things that happen, and God forbid, like I had an issue. My daughters shoot. We were just talking about, parent our daughters and stuff like that. My daughters go shooting. Haven't been in a while. It's been a while, but my daughters have gone shooting, and they know how to shoot. They know firearm safety and everything like that. But I had an issue with a teacher that felt that it was her right to tell me that she didn't think my daughter was old enough to be shooting a firearm.
Ooh-wee.
And I mean, luckily enough that she came to me first instead of like going to CPS or something like that. But truthfully, like I kind of went off on her like a little bit, like, excuse me, like, who are you to tell me that? Well, I just felt like it was my place to maybe have a conversation with you because I guess my daughter like went to school and they're like, oh, what you do over the weekend? And some kids are like, oh, we went to the zoo and we did this and we did that. My daughter's like, yeah, we went shoot. We went shoot. We went shooting and blew up some stuff and the first teacher's like, no, I don't think you really did that. And she's like, yeah.
It must have been stone face, like, no way.
My daughter's like, yeah, we did. And, they know down to, like, the size of the bullets and everything that they're doing, and my daughter goes, yeah, this is what we shot, this is where we shot it,
Yeah, I hear you.
I laugh, man, but you make a good point, Chuck. Public opinion is kind of a multifaceted thing, right? Let's just look at the one point to the left. Public opinion can start with a single opinion, but however it's propagandized, but it can lead to hundreds of thousands of people burning down a city, right? It's the power of public opinion. Just that power. But the power also is the one that I want to index here within that multifaceted thing. And it's the one that worries me the most. So we have a separation of state and church, just for the obvious reasons. I think there should be an obvious separation of government and family. Government nowadays wants to be your daddy. They want to be your mommy. They want to be your tutor, your teacher. They want to be in every bit of your house and your walls. And I think that is a trespass on a fundamental God-given right as a parent to actually love and use the tools that the government can't provide. And they have no business stepping across this ground.
I hear you. I agree with you. But the main thing is, like, we are in a system where education is meant to provide you on a path to get a job that is what's going to go on in the best interest of the economic development of everything around it, which all sounds nice and neat and good, but it's programming people to be within the box and not think outside the box and be able to fit a billet to be able to do different things. So I'm able to learn to be able to be a programmer and be this and be that. And it's taking the individualism out of it and creating you into just this cog in a wheel that is a wheel of economic output. And the problem with that is it takes a world that is so bright and vibrant with colors and possibilities and options, and it paints it in a black and a white and a gray color to where everything is just, does it make money, does it not make money? And then we have the whole root of all evil, which is the stock market, where, you know, we can't just have a supermarket be in a small town. We've got to shut down the supermarket in both small towns and open up a big supermarket in the space between them so that the profit margins increase. And then 5 years later, we can shut that one down and open up another one in between the other big one, you know, just to increase profit margins. It's ridiculous. And it's just the driving mechanism of our economy being money creates this infinite loop of just trying to train our kids to be programmed to answer whatever little question the problem is. And it's horrible. I don't see an end in sight, and I'm trying to raise my kids to think for themselves, but the more I raise them to think for themselves, the more they get just questioned by the system that exists of, you know, what's going on. You know, I've even told them, like, hey, we can have an intelligent conversation about this after you're no longer in the social studies class, because you're going to get tested on the book, but we're going to have an intelligent conversations after this course. You know what I mean?
That's smart. Right. Yeah. You don't want them to be the lone out person, because there are independent thinkers and they have an IQ, and they can not just regurgitate stuff. They can question it and motivate it, and it's American dream. That's the thing. Like, and you said it, I don't know where it's going to now, and I don't either, but that was society 100 years ago. That was everybody could think individually on whatever it is they wanted to do. Now we live in a world that's different. Constitution's not it's not a law anymore. It's a recommendation. There's not a separation in the states. There's not a separation in what the states can do and the governing bodies of the states. It's all merged.
Right.
There's nothing to it. So I
the theory,
that. You know,
the theory they stopped teaching cursive in school so the kids can't read the Constitution.
100%. Absolutely.
Man, don't get me started on that. I will go down a rabbit hole with that one.
We can go down rabbit holes with the kids' education all over the place, man.
For sure.
Look, you want to talk about education? I feel like in almost to a certain extent, like, you got to put your kids in private school, because now public school, man, is. And I'm fortunate enough that my oldest is in all AP classes and stuff like that. So they do more of an emphasis on a little bit on thinking outside the box. But from my understanding, what I've been seeing and stuff like that, they're really not just history they're whitewashing, right? It's math, it's science. They're really now is a control on knowledge. You know what I mean? Like there's a control on knowledge. We used to have wood shop class, auto shop, and all that stuff, and I keep being told, we don't have. It's not in the budget. It's not in the funding for that. But then you go to these private schools, or you listen to these individuals with these higher educations, and the things that they have. That was just another elective.
No, your kids can't come out of school learning how to do tools and change their oil and think about balancing a checkbook. There's people in this country that we don't want to upset, because that's their job. We're afraid that's going to change everything. Yeah, I bet people have sat down, guaranteed, a bunch to think about just that sick thought. Your kids can't learn that. They don't need to know how to do that.
Become a nation of consumers.
A nation of consumers. Consumerism. Sounds like an evil word. Sounds like pharmakia.
That's was they talking about, like, the farmers for the tractors and stuff like that? Can't even work on their tractors now because they're locked out in the computers and stuff like that. I would not buy a brand new car or truck anymore.
I wouldn't either. No, I wouldn't either. No, I'm an old school Chevy guy. No, yeah, that's what everything's been. They're calling it. Yeah, what is it? Modern consumerism, whatever. Modernization. Modernization. The definition now is. No, you can't work on it. Yeah, you can't bring now. You have to bring it to us. When you spend more money for your truck, you need to spend some more, and some more of your hard-earned money. but salaries hasn't met that modernization.
It doesn't even matter if salaries were meeting that modernization. The corporate monster of developing something that's meant to fail at a certain given point, so that then they're able to have return customers come and fix something that they've designed to fail. It's still just like that is utter corporate corruption and greed and evil.
Planned obsolescence. Apple does this better than anybody else, but the auto industry has gotten into it too in the last couple of years. Do you guys remember when car batteries lasted 5 years?
Right. Oh gosh, do I? Absolutely.
Look, I'd be lucky if you get 3 years out of a car battery now. And I had to ask the other day. I had a coworker like, yeah, he's like, I got a 3-year warranty on my battery. I was like, really? I was like, remember when it was 5?
I've never even heard of 3-year warranty. That's crazy.
Yeah, no.
That's good. I think they last. Batteries for zero turns. I'm in that market. They don't last year to year. You got to buy a new one every year.
Yeah.
Every year is $80. Car batteries around here, they don't even offer warranties on them unless you buy the warranty. Like if you pay up for the battery, now you buy the extra warranty. Your buddy paid for that 3-year warranty for sure. Probably paid the replacement of 2 batteries.
It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, if you've got a country of free thinkers, you've heard that concept, you all have. You got a country of capable, free thinking, free, and morally apt bodies that are able to call out the wrong that's happening within a society and government. That is a definite dual threat to any kind of structure that has been built up against that in America. It's been built up in the opposition of that. So no, they have to throw wrenches everywhere and throw things in different directions and keep people on their toes about what they're going to decide to do on a daily basis with their money and everything. The goal is to keep things more complicated in America than even possible.
I'm sure there's always been a puppet master pulling the strings.
Yep.
And they've always thought of new ways to ensure that things weren't going to last forever so they can continue to make money off of the American consumer. There's no doubt about that, right? And we've always constantly tried and figured out how to make something cheaper, so we jump into a new market so it's easier and cheaper to make it, mass produce it in China and ship it across the world than it is to have an American make it, or the difference in all the other different things, right? Corporate greed's always going to exist, and for the most part, we have benefited from it in some ways, right? And whenever you start getting outside of the spectrum of where you can actually work on and fix stuff and maintain stuff yourself, you start getting into this spectrum of where it's horrible. And I'm sure people thought the same thing about, not using a horse anymore and having to use an automobile to get from A to B, right? Like my horse, all I had to do was feed it. I hook it up outside, I drink a little bit of water, I hop back on him, riding back home. My horse, he'd get me from A to B, right? And then you get your automobile, which is a lot more efficient and effective, and you're able to travel further and be more comfortable, and you don't have to ride on a horse in freezing cold or in scorching heat. Obviously innovation's amazing and it gets us places, and we're going to question it as we go through it. The problem is,
my mind in a different area on that, but yeah, I'll say it in a minute.
The problem is that we've all seen this and we've been here, and we don't see where it's going. But the same people who thought the internet was just a blink in the bucket and it was something cool and people were just chatting to each other on a computer, like nobody even has a computer in their house, right? Who would have ever thought that everybody would have a computer in the palm of their hands? So, I mean, we're sitting here thinking about this and saying about it and saying about corruption and greed and where it all goes. At the end of the day, the innovation take something that people had to dip into their 401ks to buy their first computer because they thought it was cool, and you were on the cutting edge, and your kids were able to type on stuff at home, and that was going to be the next job market, was people being able to work on computers and stuff, to now everybody's got one in the palm of their hand, and it's extremely affordable because of the technology being mass produced.
Yeah.
So it's only a matter of time until, like, these vehicles and different things that these people are doing, that we figure out how to work on them and figure out how to do them and figure out what these chips are and everything else. And there'll be a knockoff computer program you can get where you can plug your vehicle in Wi-Fi and read it and get all the codes and figure out what the hell's going on with it. Because I guarantee you, just because vehicles are going to this, AutoZone and O'Reilly's and all this stuff isn't going to go out of business. They're going to pay some politician who's going to make it mandatory for vehicles to have some way for people to fix them themselves, because they're going to have enough people upset about it in Kentucky somewhere to where their politician raises a fuss and makes it happen.
Hope so. My mind went to a different point of view, and this is where it gets like really overstimulating. You take that same conglomerate meeting, that big company that has billions of dollars in interest in whatever company they want. You have that board meeting for consumerism for mechanics and use of cars. That's okay. When you stick it on the table and it has to do with health and welfare of America, it starts to take a different shade. It starts to take a different egregious thought. People will sit down at the table and think, we're going to make something that doesn't help somebody and continue to make it so that we can get the dollars and not heal a single person. Bro?
It should, I hear you, but it doesn't, because what they do is what they're doing right now in Franklin. They pick a poor parish in Louisiana that is undersuited for everything. Facebook comes in, Meta, buys a bunch of fucking land, and they're building power banks out there to run their grid for AI. And the jobs that it provides the area and all the other different economic stuff it provides the area, Louisiana's going to get its cut, but I guarantee you the Facebook people already know who the hell they're bringing in from headquarters up in Washington to build it. So no local people are getting the contracts to build. No local people are doing any of the groundwork or the dirt work or pouring the concrete or any of that other different stuff. Like they already know where they're getting all this stuff, right? They're probably already coming with their truckers who are going to go to the concrete plants, and they're just going to have them, do the transport. And, you continue. So it's innovation and growth, and it looks like you're bringing innovation, growth, and high-paying jobs to a very, very underutilized, underpaid corner of the earth. But those people are not qualified to do those jobs. They're bringing people in to do those jobs, and they're going to live in this podunk place, and then they're going to bring, their Teslas to this little town, and they'll, redo the roads they drive their Teslas on so that they don't have to drive on Louisiana roads. And that's what it's going to end up being. You know what I mean?
What you're talking about, that's why I saw on TikTok, of all places, forgive me, I know that's the big bad brainwashing and whatnot, but there was a lady, she was her family's been operating a farm for 30, 40 years, and all of a sudden one of these social, like Instagram or somebody, tried to buy up her land, offered $27 million just so they could turn it into one of those data farms. So it's just going to be a giant warehouse with a bunch of computers. This was a farm that fed people, that fed the local community, provided crops and everything like that. And it's all going away. We used to produce.
Chuck, is that our innovations and our technology has already outrun our humanity. It's already run the race. They're already far leaps and bounds ahead of humanity and being good and being well to be a human, right?
All right, buddy.
I think
I hear you. Y'all are going into very, very interesting paces. We're at 34 minutes, and I gotta be at work at 3 a.m. So I'm gonna call it a night.
Man,
I'm gonna call it a night. Yeah. But any final words of wisdom, and we're definitely gonna have to pick up where we left off with some of these very interesting conversations.
Read a book. Read a book.
Well, 2 Timothy 3:16 says that the Scripture is the breathing word of God. Don't trust the world, trust the Bible.
All right.
I hear you.
Well,
Iron
have a
sharpens
wonderful night.
iron, and we're out. Have a good night, guys.
If you need more information on veterans benefits, please visit our website at vfwpost4224.org. That's Victor Foxtrot Whiskey, post4224.org. All of our contact information is in the description of the video. Please email us if you have any questions. We now have a moment of silent prayer for those still in the battle, for our departed comrades, for those missing in action, and for those held as prisoners of war.